The first time I heard about Shiksha was 40 years ago in 1974 when Maharishi Mahesh Yogi gave a lecture on the Vedangas at Interlaken, Switzerland. At that time, he said that Shiksha, which deals with how to pronounce the Veda, must say something about the preservation of unbounded awareness, because the experience of unbounded awareness, what we now call total brain functioning, is necessary for perfect pronunciation. For the last 15 years, we have been searching for texts in the field of Shiksha which fulfill this demand of Maharshi for a text which emphasizes the evolution of consciousness as a foundation for the preservation of Veda. We were elated to discover that Atreya Shiksha alone, among all the dozens of Shikshas, fulfills this promise by Maharishi of a Shiksha text which emphasizes consciousness. Atreya Shiksha teaches how to use speech to unfold all the latent divine capacities of every human being and raise the individual to Brahman consciousness. Shiksha deals with establishing and preserving for all times the correct, perfect pronunciation of the Vedas and the ancient Vedic literature. The Vedas are said to be the blueprint of creation, and the research of Dr. Tony Nader has shown the entire Vedic literature to be the blueprint at the basis of human physiology. Blueprint means that these sounds contain, in their very structure, the impulses of intelligence which give rise to the form of creation, and the form of human physiology. Here we are concerned with the structure of sound, the impulses of pure sound which give rise to a corresponding form. There is, according to Jaimini, the author of Karma Mimamsa Darshanam, an intimate connection between the sound or name and its corresponding form. It is this timeless connection between name and form which Shiksha aims to preserve through teaching correct pronunciation, and which it seeks to exploit at the same time by setting out a path of supreme enlightenment through Vedic recitation. You can enter into the grammar and etymology of the Vedic words through Vyakarana and Nirukta and analyze their meaning, but in Shiksha we are interested in the pronunciation only, and we will see how, as it says in Kamikagama, by mere recitation, by mere pronunciation, one gains perfection. This is the program of Vedic study proposed by Atreya, a program of mere recitation. Atreya Shiksha, in 14 chapters, 60 sections, and 294 verses, explicitly lays out the step-by-step procedure to gain enlightenment through Vedic recitation. Atreya Shiksha, brought to light for the first time last year by Dipro Chakraborty of JNU in Delhi, India, is a major Shiksha, one of the longest and perhaps most systematic and comprehensive in its presentation of the knowledge of pronunciation. And it is the only Shiksha which explicitly lays out a curriculum for Vedic study. In this verse, Atreya presents the theme of enlightenment through Vedic recitation. He, being purified by all these different modes of recitation of Veda, obtains Para Brahm. This is confirmation from another text, and indeed from an unparalleled authority on Vedanta, Vedavyasa, the author of the Brahma Sutra, that there is a path to Brahman consciousness through Vedic recitation. It says, 2 Brahms should be known, namely the Brahm represented by the sound of the Vedas, Shabda Brahm, and secondly, that which is beyond the Vedas and is supreme. One that is conversant with Brahm represented by sound succeeds in attaining to Brahm that is supreme. Now we'll examine the curriculum of Vedic study which Atreya presents in Atreya Shiksha, the program of study which aims to unfold Parabrahm in the awareness of every student. Everything starts from the study of consciousness. Unfolding the self through technologies of consciousness is the first step of Vedic study. Therefore, the teaching of Maharishi Atreya is that the highest goal of life, the supreme accomplishment, the unmanifest transcendental being, can be achieved only by following the instructions coming from the mouth of the Master. The scholar who is proud of his learning of all the scriptures but has omitted the study of consciousness is like a body adorned with jewels but bereft of clothing. Such a person who neglects the practice of daily contacting the field of infinite creative intelligence within is one who achieves nothing of substance in the end. Therefore, an individual neglecting the practice of contacting the infinite reservoir of creative intelligence is a wretched man, not capable of even enjoying the glories of the relative. Development of consciousness as a co-requisite of Vedic study is the engine which makes Vedic study function as a curriculum of education for enlightenment. The first step of entering into the actual text of the Vedas is learning the entire Yajurveda Samhita as it has been traditionally taught for thousands of years. The student memorizes one chapter at a time, repeating it over and over until he has mastered it. When he graduates from this level of instruction, he is ready for the next step. He next learns the Pada recitation. The Pada recitation gives the words, bereft of the mixing that occurs at the word boundaries. Once the student has mastered both the Samhita and the Pada recitations, then he is ready for the Krama recitation. In the Krama recitation, each word, besides the first and last, is repeated twice, once in association with the previous word, and once in association with the following word. After the student has mastered the Pada and Krama recitations, he learns to put the individual words together in specific patterns. In the Jata recitation, the first two words are recited first in the normal order, then in the reverse order, then in the normal order again. The order will be 1-2, 2-1, 1-2, 2-3, 3-2, 2-3, and so on. The physiology, which is, after all, made of Veda, is purified by these increasingly complex modes of recitation. All the fine details of the gaps, the sandhis, and all the fine details of the individual letters which make up the words are expressed in speech, are brought out as swara, the reverberations, ra, of the self, swa. And this purifies the physiology more and more. Now let's experience this reverberation of the self in swara with a series of increasingly complex recitations to give a taste of how the physiology is progressively purified. We'll start with Jata.
Gananam tva tva gananam gananam tva tva ganapatim ganapatim tva tva ganapatim ganapatim havamahe havamahe ganapatim ganapatim havamahe.
There are 8 such modes of recitation in which the sequence is not always forward, but also reverses. These are called the Vikriti modes of recitation. Subsequently, the student learns the 5 Varnakrama modes of recitation. The first Varnakrama is called Kevala or Shuddha Varnakrama. It consists in simply naming each letter in sequence. Here is an example of the Kevala Varnakrama recitation for the word Saraswati.
Shuddha Varnakramaha Sakara Akara Repa Akara Sakara Dvitva Vakara Akara Takara Ikaraha Saraswati.
Swara Varnakrama is the second of the 5 kinds of Varnakrama. In Swara Varnakrama, the name of the accent is recited before the name of the vowel. There are 10 accents, Udatta, Anudatta, Prachaya, and 7 varieties of Swarita. In the case of a Swarita accent, the prayatna of the Swarita is added before the name of the Swarita accent. Here is an example of the Swara Varnakrama for the word Saraswati.
Swara Varnakramaha Sakaro Datta Akara Repalpattara Prayatno Tairo Vyanjana Swarita Akara Sakara Dvitva Vakara Prachaya Akara Takara Prachaya Ikaraha.
Matra Kala Varnakrama is the third of the 5 kinds of Varnakrama. In this recitation, the length in matras of every sound is given. Here is an example of the Matra Kala Varnakrama for the word Saraswati.
Matra Kala Varnakramaha Ardhamatrika Sakara Ekamatriko Datta Akara Anumatrika Virama Ardhamatrika Repha Ekamatrikalpatara Prayatna Tairo Vyanjana Swarita Akara Anumatrika Virama Ardhamatrika Sakara Dvitva Ardhamatrika Vakara Ekamatrika Prachaya Akara Anumatrika Virama Ardhamatrika Takara Dvimatrika Prachaya Ikaraha.
Anga Varnakrama is the 4th of the 5 kinds of Varnakrama recitation. In this recitation, every consonant is associated with the vowel either preceding or following, upon which it depends for its articulation. Here is an example of the Anga Varnakrama for the word Saraswati.
Anga Varnakramaha Ardhamatrika Paranga Bhuta Ushma Sangnya Sakara Rasva Sangnya Ekamatriko Datta Akara Anumatrika Virama Ardhamatrika Paranga Bhuta Antastha Sangnya Repha Rasva Sangnya Ekamatrikalpatara Prayatna Tairo Vyanjana Swarita Akara Anumatrika Virama Ardhamatrika Purva Paranga Bhuta Ushpa Sangnya Sakara Dvitva Ardhamatrika Paranga Bhuta Antastha Sangnya Vakara Rasva Sangnya Ekamatrika Prachaya Akara Anumatrika Virama Ardhamatrika Paranga Bhuta Sparsha Sangnya Takara Dirgha Sangya Dvimatrika Prachaya Ikara Dvimatrika Viramaha.
Varnasara Bhuta Varnakrama is the 5th of the 5 kinds of Varnakrama. In this recitation, the essential phonetic qualities of each sound are described. There are 8 qualities recited for every vowel, 8 for every consonant, and 10 qualities for every accent, for a total of 26 parameters, which must be recited for every syllable. Here is the Varnasara Bhuta Varnakrama recitation for the word Saraswati.
Varnasara Bhuta Varnakramaha श्वासध्वनिजनितदन्तमूलाधो भागस्थानजिह्वाग्रकरणविवृतप्रयत्नार्धमात्राकालवह्नि देवता शूद्रजातिपराङ्गभूतसकार नादध्वनिजनितकण्ठविवृतोष्ठस्थानकण्ठाधो भागविवृतोष्ठाध करणसंवृतप्रयत्नैकमात्राकाल भूमिदेवता ब्राह्मणजाति सत्त्वगुणसहिततर्जन्यङ्गाळी मध्यरेखां न्यासयोग्याध्येत्रङ्गदार्ध्यरैध दैर्ध्यकण्ठाकाशमुखस्थानोद्भवोदात्त वायुदेवता ब्राह्मणजातिसहित अकार नादध्वनिजनितदन्तमूलाभ्यन्तरोपरिभागस्थान जिह्वाग्रमध्यकरणेश स्पृष्टप्रयत्नार्धमात्राकालवह्नि देवता वैश्यजातिपराङ्गभूतरेफ नादध्वनिजनितकण्ठविवृतोष्ठस्थान कण्ठाधो भागविवृतोष्ठाध करणसंवृतप्रयत्नैकमात्राकाल इन्द्रदेवता वैश्यजाति रजोगुणसहितानामिकाङ्गुल्यान्त्यरेखां न्यासयोग्याध्येत्रानन्त्यकरशीर्षस्थानोद्भवस्वरित वायुदेवता ब्राह्मणजातिसहित अकार श्वासध्वनिजनितदन्तमूलाधो भागस्थानजिह्वाग्रकरणविवृतप्रयत्नार्धमात्राकालवह्नि देवता शूद्रजाति पूर्वपराङ्गभूतसकारद्वित्व नादध्वनिजनित उत्तरदन्ताग्रस्थान अधरोष्ठकरणेशत्स्पृष्ट प्रयत्नार्धमात्राकालचन्द्रदेवता वैश्यजातिपराङ्गभूत वकार नादध्वनिजनितकण्ठविवृतोष्ठस्थानकण्ठाधो भागविवृतोष्ठाध करणसंवृतप्रयत्नैकमात्राकाल अर्कदेवता क्षत्रियजातितमोगुणसहित मध्याङ्गुलिमध्यरेखां न्यासयोग्याध्येत्रङ्गदार्ध्यरेह दैर्ध्यकण्ठकाशमहत्त्वकरहृदि स्थानो भवप्रचय वायुदेवता ब्राह्मणजातिसहित अकार अर्कध्वनिजनितोत्तरदन्तमूलेष्वधो भागस्थानजिह्वाग्रकरणस्पृष्टप्रयत्नार्धमात्राकालवायुदेवता ब्राह्मणजातिपराङ्गभूततकार नादध्वनिजनिततालुस्थानजिह्वामध्यकरणविवृतप्रयत्न द्विमात्राकाल अर्कदेवता क्षत्रियजातितमोगुणसहित मध्याङ्गुलिमध्यरेखां न्यासयोग्याध्येत्रङ्गदार्ध्यरेह दैर्ध्यकण्ठकाशमहत्त्वकरहृदि स्थानोद्भवप्रचय वह्नि देवता ब्राह्मणजातिसहित ईकाराः.
The Vedas should be recited repeatedly, using each of these different Prakriti, Vikriti, and Varnakrama modes of recitation. It is here, in these advanced modes of recitation, that the true power of the Veda is unfolded. One benefit of this program of Vedic study is perfection of preservation of the text, preserving the text absolutely unchanged generation after generation. The practical benefit for the student now in this generation is success in action, absolute effectiveness and efficiency in every area of life. This is the supreme goal of Vedic education. The key to the success of this curriculum of Vedic study is the technologies of consciousness which one learns from the teacher. One creates a level of consciousness where whatever sound one experiences, it spontaneously gives rise to its corresponding form. In the Yoga Sutra, this level of consciousness is called Ritambhara Prajna. It is cultured through yogic practices, through instructions coming from the mouth of the master, instructions which make speech powerful by expanding the conscious mind of the student. The power of speech depends on the level of consciousness from which it is projected. There are 4 levels of speech: Vaikari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Para. Technologies of consciousness must be employed to learn to project speech from the Para level for maximum effectiveness of speech. This is how, through speech, through recitation of the Vedas, the individual rises to Brahman consciousness. In conclusion, we have seen here in Atreya Shiksha a practical and detailed curriculum of Vedic study which fulfills Maharishi's ambitious goals for unfolding wholeness of life and bringing total knowledge to every student. 3 points that I want you to take home with you. 1. Atreya Shiksha is the only Shiksha which presents a step-by-step curriculum of Vedic study. 2. Vedic study, Vedic recitation, develops Brahman consciousness. 3. Atreya Shiksha is the only Shiksha which emphasizes the development of consciousness as a co-requisite of Vedic study. Thank you very much.